Samantha and I met and started dating when we were both 18 years old, married at 22. The story of her diary begins when we were 26, and since we had sexual experience before meeting, I was the only man she ever slept with, and vice versa. Throughout most of our relationship, it never occurred to me that Samantha might be intimate with someone else. And why? We loved each other very much and were both sexually satisfied. We were young, fit, and full of life. We had sex regularly, most often every day, sometimes even several times a day. There was nothing lacking in our sex life. At least that was the case in the beginning. Samantha is a slender, natural blonde with stunning blue eyes and the cutest dimples when she smiles. She has a small, slightly upturned nose on which light freckles appear when she is in the sun. Her lips are full, symmetrical, and perfect. She has a slender figure, flexible arms, and long, toned legs of a dancer. Thanks to regular jogging and dancing, her body remains in great shape. At 26 years old, she is still as full of life and energy as when I first met her. Although she has naturally fair skin, she gets a nice tan in the summer thanks to spending time outdoors, often wearing a bikini to minimize swimsuit marks. I like to joke with her about how sexy her tan lines look when I see the contrast between her tan skin and the lighter skin on her chest and butt. I realize that I'm seeing parts of her body that no man would ever see, or at least very few. And although she rolls her eyes when I say this, I know she enjoys hearing such a compliment. Now let's move on to some of Samantha's, more refined features. Moving up from her legs, you would see her delicious, lifted, rounded buttocks framed by her narrow hips. She has a cute, noticeable freckle on her left buttock. Her breasts are natural, size 3. I also asked Samantha to describe me. I think she was being pretty generous with her description, but here it is. James has olive skin and dark, wavy hair. He usually sports a neatly groomed beard or light stubble. His eyes are brown, deep-set, soft, and caring. His nose is proportional, and his chin and jawline are defined but not prominent. He has thick, expressive eyebrows, which I know he trims sometimes. He is average or slightly below average height, about my height, but I think this is the perfect height to hug him at night and kiss him face to face. He plays sports every day, so of course he has great muscles. He has a figure with wide shoulders and narrow hips, like a swimmer. His back is well developed thanks to training and his arms stand out in his jersey. He has toned pecs, but they're soft enough for me to rest my head on. He's a runner, so he has strong legs and a round, firm butt. Sometimes I'm even a little jealous. It holds his pants well, and when he wears jeans or slacks, the fabric fits snugly. Despite all this, he worries that he is getting a dad figure, so I tease him by saying that he has the fittest dad figure in the world. The joke about the dad figure came from the fact that James allows himself to eat whatever he wants, or more correctly, I let him. If I bake cookies, he will eat them. Because of his eating habits, he doesn't quite have a six-pack on his stomach, but he doesn't have a beer belly either. I tell him that his main problem is his posture, because if he stands up straight and tightens his abs, he will pass for a fitness model. One evening, after we had made love, we were lying in bed and discussing one of our mutual friends, Todd, who had always had problems with his love life. He was our age, and although he was attractive and went on dates often, he rarely got into relationships for more than a few weeks. We discussed how Todd had recently dated Samantha's friend Jenny, but the affair lasted less than a month. In my naivety, I noticed that Todd was probably lonely and perhaps desperate for sex. I don't think so, Samantha said. Not from what I heard. What do you mean? I asked. Well, Todd and Jenny can have sex without being in a relationship. That's right, I answered, feeling her confidence. Wait, do you have inside information? Maybe. Jenny and I are good friends. We girls talk about stuff like that, you know. Actually, I didn't know, I admitted. I knew that some girls discussed such things. But I didn't think it was you. Not with everyone, Samantha assured me. But Jenny and I have been friends for many years. She loves to talk about her personal life, whether it's bragging or complaining, it doesn't matter. And what did she say about Todd? Did you boast or complain? I added a nervous laugh, feeling a little inappropriate asking such a question. Both, she answered. There was playfulness in her voice. Oh, okay, I said as the rational part of my brain took over. Todd is a good friend. I don't think I want to know. As you know, she said, turning around and covering herself with the blanket. I fell silent for a moment, deep in thought. Sam, I finally said, are you telling Jenny about us in that way? Samantha looked at me. About you and me? No, I'm not telling you. Why? You are my husband, James. This is different. Jenny is just telling me about the guys she has casual relationships with. It's fun gossip, but nothing serious. It's clear. This is logical. There was a pause again. But if you told her about our sex life, what would you say? Samantha turned to me and put her hand on my chest, bringing her head close to my ear. Softly, she said, I would say my husband drives me crazy in bed every night. It was funny to hear my wife talk to me like that. I knew that most of what she said was true because we truly had an amazing sex life. Plus, since my wife had no sexual experience before we met, she didn't have much real-life experience to compare it to. However, knowing that Samantha loved me and wanted me to feel confident warmed me inside. An idea came to my mind. I thought about how her friends, like Jenny, probably told her stories about different partners who were different from me, different physical qualities, different manners in bed, maybe even interesting fetishes. I was curious what Samantha thought about those stories, given her limited personal experience, and without thinking, I began a conversation that soon led to unexpected consequences. It's good that I'm the only man you've seen in person. I froze, waiting for her reaction. I wouldn't say it quite like that, she finally answered. But close. I stopped. I was originally going to ask her what stories she had heard from her friends that might pique her curiosity, but now I came across something completely different. Wait, you said I'm the only man you've ever slept with. When were you with someone else? Well, of course, I wasn't with anyone. There was a note of defense in her voice. I'm just saying that I may have seen a couple in person before you, that's all. A couple? Samantha, I'm intrigued. Could you talk about this? Oh God, it doesn't matter, please. Believe me, I have never been with anyone, much less cheated on you. I trust you, I said. For real. But I have to admit, you intrigue me. I want to know what happened to you. Is it true? There's almost nothing to talk about here. Please, I said. I love you. You're sexy and your body is driving me crazy. I'm sure it has turned on other men in the past. I think it would be pretty hot to hear your stories and how you turned other guys on. I'm sure these were interesting cases and it's hard to explain, but I like it. Do you like it? She asked, clearly surprised. Honestly, it's nothing, but since you're curious, I think I can indulge you. I lay back on the bed, ready to listen. Okay, she began, the first time was not long before I met you. Remember the guy I had before you, my first ever? Tommy. Tom, whom Samantha for some reason called Tommy, was a football player. He was tall, strong, and a little plump. He most often sat on the bench and was known as the gentle giant. When I first found out that Samantha was dating him, I was surprised because I thought she was much more attractive than him. Samantha was a late bloomer, which saved her from the attention of superficial guys. I think that was the only reason why I got a chance with her, because for her, personality was always more important than looks. In general, continuing the conversation, I added, have you only been dating for a couple of weeks? Yes, she answered. We were both very shy, and I was surprised that anything happened at all. I think we only kissed a couple of times. But at some point you saw him, I was stunned. Yes, we were at his parents' pool. Everyone else went into the house. It was already starting to get dark when he hugged me and started kissing me. And then what? I urged her to continue the story. Well, I think no more than a minute passed when his mother came outside and called us into the house. She couldn't see what we were doing, so we thought we got away with it. I see, I said, still imagining this scene. You know, she continued, When I first saw you, I was completely delighted, she said. I immediately forget about him. Thank you, honey. I'm glad I can make you happy, I replied. This is all, I asked. Did anything else happen to Tom? No, she answered. We broke up shortly after that. It had nothing to do with what happened in the pool, she quickly added. I just wasn't interested in him. He seemed too immature to me, too boyish. Samantha, I said softly. HM? She answered thoughtfully, clearly already falling asleep. You know, you said that you saw two men. Yes, I think that's what I said. The thought of the second story attracted me even more. I forgot about her first boyfriend, Tom, because it was such a small thing in her life. But I knew for sure that she was not dating anyone else except Tom and me. What is this second story? When did this happen? Won't you tell me about this? Maybe, she said, clearly hesitating. Do you promise not to be angry? Another unexpected turn. Did she do something wrong? She already said that she didn't cheat on me. A panic chill ran through my body, but I needed to hear the continuation. I can't promise I won't get angry, I said, but I think I need to know. I didn't cheat on you, she assured again. Believe me, nothing like that happened. Fine. Thank you for saying that. But I'm still terribly curious what happened, she continued. It was in college. Remember when my dance team went to a competition in another state over the summer? Then when did we reach the semifinals? Of course, I answered. I didn't go with her then because I was working a summer job to earn extra money. And what happened? At the same time when the dance competitions were going on, a basketball camp was taking place at the university. Basketball players and dancers lived in dorms that were empty in the summer. I see, I said, becoming even more interested. Continue. One evening, several girls from our team met in one of the dorm rooms with basketball boys. I never told you about this because we were drinking at the time, and I knew that you were worried when I drank without you. I remember. It's okay that you drank. So what happened at this party? We played drinking games kings, beer pong, you know, the usual college games. And I noticed that one of the basketball players was looking at me all the time, somehow in a special way. He was tall, of course, over 6 feet, quite handsome, with dark features. Okay, I said, feeling annoyed that she called him cute. With so much to drink and my low level of alcohol tolerance at the time, I quickly became tipsy and felt a little dizzy. I asked one of the girls to take me to our dorm, but she refused. Then this guy, who had not taken his eyes off me, offered to walk me to my room. What a gentleman, I remarked sarcastically, foreseeing what was on his mind. I remember we were walking across campus, and I was desperately trying to hint to him that I had a boyfriend whom I loved very much. But he kept changing the subject, saying how nice it was outside, how beautiful I looked in the moonlight. I remember he was wearing a loose tank top that showed off his long, muscular arms and basketball shorts. Is it true? I tried to soften my tone, not wanting to scare Samantha away from continuing. I just wanted to get to my room, and I kept talking about you. Eventually, we reached my dorm. When we got there, I tried to take the key card out of my bag, but dropped it. He picked it up before me and opened the door, and then went inside himself. What a bastard, I said, feeling my protective instincts towards my wife kick into full gear. I was stunned, she continued, but he acted so naturally. Said, let me make sure you can get to bed, then I'll leave. Wait, I said, trying to better imagine the situation. What were you wearing? Dance shorts and a t-shirt, she replied. I knew what shorts she was talking about. They were short, tight, and left little to the imagination. I was practically in pajamas. But I felt bad, so I went straight to the bathroom. He stayed in the room while I splashed water on my face and tried to sober up. I almost forgot he was there. But when I came out of the bathroom, he was lying on my bed, naked. Completely naked, I exclaimed. That must have scared you terribly. A little, yes, she admitted. Completely naked? I asked again. This is terrible. Yes, completely. And what did you think? I froze, waiting for her answer. Was there anything to be proud of? was, that is, if you like it that way. So, did you like it? I asked carefully. Under no circumstances, she answered sharply. I was drunk and just wanted him to go away so I could go to bed. I've already told this fool that I'm not interested and that I have a boyfriend, but apparently he didn't take it seriously. In any case, his outburst quickly brought me to my senses. I grabbed the comb from the desk and threw it at him, screaming at him to get out. He jumped up, grabbed his clothes, and began to pull on his shorts, apologizing, "Sorry, sorry." The only reason I didn't go into hysterics was how guilty he looked and how quickly he left. I think someone else might have felt traumatized by it, but I was just glad it was over. I instantly fell asleep, and the next morning I woke up with a hangover and just continued with my life. It meant nothing to me, and looking back, I think I did the right thing by not telling you then. I really appreciated her reassurance. I agreed that she had done the right thing by not telling me because I probably would have lost my temper and called the police. The whole subsequent process could have made the situation even more traumatic, while Samantha chose to simply leave it in the past. "What do you think?" she asked. "Are you angry? Did it shock you?" I thought about it. "I was shocked by this guy," I replied. "I'm glad you're okay and that it didn't leave a mark on your psyche. But did you often think about it later?" "Not really. It was much easier for me to just pretend it didn't happen." "Thank you," I said. "For what?" She was surprised. "For honesty. I asked you a difficult question, and you were honest with me. I really appreciate it." "Okay," she said, "please. But it's late, and these are all the stories I have. Can we sleep now, dear?" "Of course," I replied. "I love you." "And I love you," she whispered. And while she was falling asleep, I imagined her in the dorm with that basketball player. Instead of shooing him away, she approaches him cautiously. After that night, I stopped asking for more stories. First, I knew that Samantha had no more stories. Secondly, I didn't want her to worry that I was obsessing over her fantasies or her past. But this thought did not leave me. For the first time, I imagined my wife with another man, and something about it fascinated me. A few weeks later, I came home from work to find Samantha leaning over the kitchen table, reading a magazine. She was wearing tight leggings and a tank top, and her back was towards me as I came closer. "Hello, darling," she said without turning around. "How was your day?" "Okay," I replied. "You're in a playful mood," she remarked. "Are you trying to distract me from reading?" "Maybe," I replied. "It turns out." "A little," she answered. "We had sex." "What came over you?" "I'm not complaining, though," she smiled. "It was one of those rare occasions when we had sex so spontaneously and in an unusual place, like the kitchen. I don't know myself," I admitted, although inside I understood the reason. "Let's catch our breath and go to the shower. I think I need to tell you something." "Okay," she replied, and I felt her gaze follow me as I left the room. 20 minutes later, after we had finished showering, we were lying on the bed in our bedroom, still wrapped in towels. Samantha ran her fingers through the hair on my chest, avoiding direct gaze. "So what did you want to tell me?" she finally asked. "It's not something important," I replied. "Just something that's been running through my head lately." "Tell me," she looked at me intently. "I keep thinking about that night when you told me your stories about the past. Something from that evening left a mark on my mind." "What exactly?" "I don't know for sure," I said. "I'm trying to figure it out myself. Until that night, I never thought that you could be with another man. But now this very thought, I don't know, it somehow intrigued me." Samantha frowned. "What exactly intrigues you about this?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out," I admitted. "Maybe this is just a new way to fantasize about you. If we had not met at school and fell in love, I think your student years would have been completely different. Surely every guy on campus would dream of dating you." "Perhaps," she said. "So what?" "I'm just thinking out loud," I said. "I find it funny to imagine different situations you could find yourself in, different experiences you could have, different guys you could date." "You mean different guys I could sleep with?" "Yes, well, that too." "James," Samantha said seriously, I don't regret that I fell in love with you in my youth. I don't have any wild fantasies about being with a bunch of other guys. I am absolutely happy that I was only with you. I know, I answered. This is stupid, and I don't think I have any real jealousy. I'm not worried that some handsome guy will come and take you away from me. Samantha laughed. You're still thinking about size, right? I guess that's part of it, I admitted. But besides the jealousy, the very idea that you could be with another man turns me on for some reason. Samantha looked shocked. Is it true? Have you thought about something like this? In a way, I said. I explained to her how the word more, she said earlier, led to the fantasy. This is strange, I continued. I don't quite understand why this turns me on, but it does. Okay, Samantha said thoughtfully. And what does this mean? I'm not sure myself, I answered. Perhaps this is something we need to talk about further to get to the bottom of it. Maybe this is something that can be explored. Samantha thought about it. Do you want me to be with someone else? She asked with caution in her voice. No, I think not yet, I quickly answered. I don't know. We were silent for a moment, both not knowing what to say next. You know, Sam, I began hesitantly, can I ask you a question? Of course, she replied. After that night when you told me those stories from the past, did you think about them later? Not really. She paused, although maybe something came up. I held my breath, waiting for her to continue. For context, my job requires me to be out of town for about one weekend a month. Samantha and I have an agreement that in our absence from each other, we can watch adult videos. She explained that the last time she looked, her thoughts reacted differently to what she saw. Is it true? I was intrigued, but didn't know what to ask. Yes, she continued. She suddenly stopped and turned to me, with a guilty expression on her face. I could tell she was worried about my reaction, as if her words might offend me. It's even a little exciting, I said. I'm surprised that you don't usually think that way. I don't think so, she replied. She dared to continue. Actually, it made me remember that basketball player I met in college. And for the first time, I think I felt a little curious. It's not that I wanted to do anything about it, just curiosity, at the fantasy level. I understand. I've only been with you, so the video gives me the opportunity to explore fantasies about people I'll never be with. But in real life, I don't need it. In real life, I have you, and I don't need anyone else. So we feel the same, Samantha concluded. In a way, yes, I said. We both fantasize about other people, but we have no desire to be with anyone else. Lying on the bed, I stared at the ceiling, not sure if I could say my next thoughts while looking at Samantha's face. But in some ways, it's different. If you thought about me with another woman, I think the idea would break you and push you away. And for me, the thought of you wanting another man, fantasizing about another man, or even having sex with him turns me on. It seems like we're different in that way. Does this bother you? She asked. Not at all. What about you? Don't think. But like I said, I'm not sure what to do about it. We found out that it turns you on, but I don't know what to do about it. Maybe there's nothing to do, I said. Maybe it's just a crazy idea, a phase that will pass. Soon, I'm sure, the idea will start to scare me. Maybe, Samantha agreed. Let's see. Several more months passed. In a way, I was right most of the time. I didn't even think about the fact that Samantha could be with another man. However, when I returned from business trips, I wondered what video she watched and how it affected her. I asked her what she watched, what the actors looked like, and what she paid attention to. To my surprise, her interest increasingly shifted to male actors. Apart from these short conversations about the video, our relationship remained as normal and strong as ever. We still had sex almost every day, and I almost never thought about her with other men. Meanwhile, we discussed our careers and the possibility of having children. I recently received a promotion at work and used the increase in salary to save up for a vacation down south to Cancun, Mexico. We bought tickets and booked a room at an adults-only hotel on the Riviera Maya coast in the spring. As our tropical trip approached, Samantha and I became increasingly excited about our time together. I even took her shopping, buying her skimpy swimsuits that I was sure would turn heads on the beach. Everything was going according to plan until one evening, less than 2 weeks before our trip, I received an email from work. "You're kidding me," I muttered, reading the email on my phone. "Our biggest client comes from abroad and insists on meeting with me, right in the middle of our trip." "What?" Samantha exclaimed. "Tell them no." "I want to," I replied, "but I'm not sure I can." They are truly our largest client, and my work with them was one of the reasons for my promotion. They want me to personally give them a tour of our facilities, so just going on a video call won't work. We ran to the computer to try to change our travel schedule. It turned out that the plane tickets were non-refundable, but we could change them to a different date or even a different name. But the hotel we had gotten a good price for had already charged us a large deposit that we couldn't get back. I sighed. "You have to go without me. You can take a friend." "What?" "No," Samantha exclaimed. "I only want to go with you." "Well, you won't go with me," I answered regretfully. "At least not this spring." Samantha hugged her knees and pouted. It was disappointing to say the least. I imagined how we would have fun together, drinking cocktails on the beach, snorkeling in romantic bays, having sex in new and exotic places. And then it dawned on me. "Samantha, I have a proposal. I want you to go on this trip if you can find a friend to go with you." Samantha was about to object, but I interrupted her. "Listen to me. I want you to go, and I want you to go as if you were alone." "What do you mean?" she asked, looking dumbfounded and worried. "Think about it," I began. "These crazy fantasies I have, thinking about you having fun with other men, dating them, enjoying their attention." She realized, "Do you want me to really make your fantasies come true?" And flirted with other men? "Yes," I replied. "Flirt with them, maybe more. If I give you permission, it won't be cheating. We will set parameters, boundaries that we both agree on. In return, I would like you to tell me everything that happens on your trip, in the details." "I don't know," Samantha said. "Fantasy is one thing, but I'm not sure I can do it in real life. What if it backfires? What if one of us actually gets hurt?" "I won't get hurt," I assured her, "as long as you follow the rules." She looked at me skeptically, but remained silent. "I think this could be fun," I continued. "I know it will be fun for me. I will listen to all your stories, and about how sexy you are to all these men. Your pleasure will be my pleasure," I insisted. "Give me time to think about it," she said. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." I kissed her on the cheek. And even though I was sad that I wouldn't be going on vacation with her, deep down I was more excited than ever. The next morning was Saturday, and I slept longer than usual. It was almost 10 a.m. when I got out of bed, and when I arrived in the kitchen, Samantha was making pancakes. "Good morning," she greeted without looking up from the frying pan. I talked to Jenny. She said she could go. A storm of shock and excitement erupted in my head. Samantha not only agreed, but it only took her one night to decide, and she had already invited her friend. Was she as excited by the idea as I was? "Great," I muttered. "What did you tell her?" She still didn't look at me. "Oh, I told her about your meeting, how important this work is, and how amazing the photos of the hotel look on the internet. I sent her the link, and she absolutely loved it." "I see," I said. In some ways, Jenny was the perfect companion for this trip. Her family was from Puerto Rico, and not only did she speak Spanish, but she also flirted freely, which could help Samantha get into the right mood. "By the way," Samantha added, quickly looking at me and then looking away, "I hope you don't mind, but I told Jenny that she'll only pay half the cost of the room and we'll cover the tickets ourselves. After all, the trip is almost sudden. This is fine?" "Yes, perfect," I replied. I didn't even think about asking her to pay for anything. Our finances had been looking good lately, and I wasn't worried about that. "Did you tell her about what we discussed yesterday?" I couldn't say it out loud. "About that," Samantha began, finally turning to me and looking at me seriously, almost worriedly. "Are you sure this is what you want?" I took a deep breath. Everything inside me screamed, "Yes," but a drop of doubt flashed through my head about how all this could unfold. I decided to listen to my emotions. Containing myself, I replied, "Yes, I still feel like I want it, if only you want it too." I admit it sounds funny. Scary, risky, but fun. But we will need to discuss the rules before I agree. So that morning, while we were eating pancakes, we developed the following rules. 1. Do something only if it is absolutely safe. 2. Do only what you want. Don't do anything just to please James. 3. Always tell Jenny where you are and who you are with. 4. Don't have attachments. Don't date the same man multiple times. 5. If you decide to have sex with another man, he should use protection. 6. You will send me daily report letters. In addition to a general description of the trip, they will contain a detailed account of any flirtations or sexual encounters. Don't hold back details. There should be no secrets. 7. Write what you really feel. Sensations, both pleasant and not, emotions positive or negative. Write the truth and not what you think I would like to hear. That's it. We read the rules several times and agreed that this was a reasonable plan. Although she will send me letters daily, we have agreed that I will not respond to them so that my opinion does not influence her behavior. The only exceptions would be in emergencies or if I change my mind about our plan. I assured Samantha that if nothing happened or if she felt uncomfortable, she could abandon the idea and just enjoy a fun, relaxing vacation with a friend. When the day of their departure finally arrived, I drove Samantha and Jenny to the airport and stopped at the drop-off area. We got out of the car and I took their luggage out of the trunk. With tears in her eyes, Samantha kissed me goodbye and handed me her engagement ring to keep. She didn't intend to wear it on the trip, and it was safer this way. We both realized this symbolic gesture, and with a final hug, we held each other tightly. "I love you," she whispered in my ear. I know. This Star Wars reference was our little joke, and I think the familiarity of the situation calmed her down as she hugged me one last time. "I'm not sure I can do it," she said. "Everything is fine." I took her by the shoulders and looked into her eyes. In a Yoda parody, he said, "To do or not to do," and then switched to his normal voice, "I will love you all the same." A few minutes later, as I watched her and Jenny roll their suitcases into the airport and out of sight, I felt hopeful but empty of expectations. Samantha. Saturday, May 11th, 2019, 23:06. Dear James, greetings from the beautiful beaches of the Riviera Maya. We are here. As you requested, this is my first digital diary entry to keep you updated on our exciting adventures. In each post, I will describe the highlights of our trip and then move on to describe any additional activities you allowed me to do. I don't want to say that there is anything to report on the first day, or is there? Let's start with the fact that the day of travel was long. After you drove Jenny and me to the airport, we went through customs, got to the terminal, grabbed a cup of coffee from Starbucks, and waited to board our plane. Nothing special. We boarded a flight to Cancun that departed on time and were on a fairly full plane. Jenny is just a walking comedy. As soon as we took our seats, me by the window and Jenny in the middle, she tossed her bulky fur-lined jacket onto the seat next to her. "What?" she said. "It's damn cold on planes." I kept wondering why she was dragging this jacket through the airport. Of course, she wouldn't need it in Mexico, but it allowed us to keep the empty space nearby. Personal space turned out to be very useful. I had already told Jenny about our situation before the trip, but she was clearly curious. "Come on, show me your rules again," she asked as soon as our plane took off. Fine. I opened the Notes app on my phone and let her reread the rules. "I can't believe James is letting you do all this." She smiled with incredulous amusement. "You can finally feel like a lonely girl." "You're probably right," I said. "So is there anything I should know about being a single girl these days?" Well, we're going to an adults-only hotel, and if you're not with a guy, Everyone there will think you're alone, and every man there will want to sleep with you." Her bluntness took me by surprise, and I laughed. "Is it that simple?" "Yes, it's that simple," she said. "I know you and James are always together, but now that he won't be around, you have a lot to learn. You'll be fighting off guys left and right." "Don't be stupid," I replied. "I'm sure everything will be wrong. I don't even know if the opportunity will arise, and if it does, I don't know how I'll react if someone starts flirting with me. It'll probably just scare me." "Trust me," Jenny said, putting the sleep mask over her eyes. "We'll see pretty soon." I realized that her mask was a sign that the advice was over for now. I was too nervous and worried to sleep. I took the magazine out of my chair pocket and started doing the crossword puzzle, and by the way, I finished it. Looking forward to the next step of our journey. Our entire route went smoothly. The car rental agency had our car ready, and Jenny's knowledge of Spanish helped us get everything we needed. From there, we picked up the car, that blue Volkswagen Beetle convertible you ordered for us, and set off for an hour's drive to our beach resort. I have to say, driving in Mexico is terrifying. I'm driving along a one-lane road, setting the cruise control exactly at the speed limit, and suddenly I realize that local drivers are constantly driving close to my bumper. What the hell is this? I didn't know what to do because there was no shoulder to overtake. "I wish you were here to take over the driving, James," and I sadly realized that this was the first of many times I will miss you. At some point, the truck crossed the solid line and, honking, rushed past us. I noticed that another car pulled over to the side of the road to let him pass. Lesson learned in Mexico: shoulders are meant to allow other cars to pass. Once I figured this out, driving became much easier. Soon we were at the resort. Our car was collected at the entrance, and at the reception we received the keys to our room. We were also given pink wristbands which identified us as guests of the resort, as all amenities were included in the price. I noticed that at the end of the check-in counter, some guests were given green wristbands instead of pink ones. "What do the green bracelets mean?" I asked the receptionist. "These bracelets are for VIP guests," she replied. "They are for those who have booked deluxe rooms. These wristbands provide them with premium service, additional dining options, and access to the VIP area of our nightclub." "Wow," I remarked, dreaming of the day when you and I could enjoy VIP treatment. Our room is standard, but very comfortable. We're on the second floor, and our balcony overlooks the pool, one of many at this resort, and the sun-drenched beach beyond. There are two double beds in the room, and mine is the one closest to the window. The air conditioning is on full blast and is amazing, providing relief from the humidity outside. There is a mini fridge in the room, which we were told at the front desk will be replenished daily free of charge with bottles of water, soda, cans of soft drinks, and bottles of beer. Jenny almost immediately grabbed the low-alcohol drink and handed me another. "It's time to start our vacation," she said. After a long day of travel, it was time for a late dinner, and we were pretty hungry. We decided to put on our swimsuits and go have dinner at the outdoor grill by the pools, leisurely sipping our drinks while we got ready. I expected Jenny and I to take turns changing, one in the bathroom, the other in the room, but good old Jenny just took off her panties right before my eyes. "Oh!" I exclaimed as her panties fell to the floor. I covered my eyes with my hands, but didn't have time before I noticed her dark skin on her legs, her tan, which was even brighter than mine. "So what?" Jenny asked. "We are all our own." I removed my hands from my face and began to change my clothes myself, realizing that I would have to get used to the fact that someone other than my husband would see me naked. While I was changing my clothes, I glanced briefly at Jenny's body to appreciate her beauty. I think you will be interested in the description, because who knows, maybe it will excite you too, and that, in general, is the goal of all this, right? As you know, Jenny is a little shorter than me. She has a curvier figure with rounded hips and a thin waist. Her buttocks are round, firm, and perfectly raised. Her breasts, I admit, make me jealous. She's big, I'm guessing D or double D cups, but they're definitely not saggy. Her stomach isn't as flat as mine, but she's in good shape. Her big, coffee-colored eyes are a stark contrast to my baby blue eyes, as you call them, and her lips are full, juicy, and just drive men crazy. The humidity had already taken its toll on her hair. She usually had big, shoulder-length curls, but now her dark hair was standing on end from the humid air. "Damn it," she said, looking in the mirror and running her fingers through her hair. I should have guessed. I woke up from my daze and picked out the more modest black and white striped bikini you like from my suitcase. I pulled it on, put on my denim shorts over my swimsuit, and was ready to go. Jenny wore a thong and a sheer pink cape, which she tied at her hips. We both pulled our hair into buns. Mine was less fluffy, and headed to the grill to eat dinner. The grill is located in a large hut, open to the sea breeze, with a thatched roof. The grilled food, served buffet style, was incredibly delicious. I picked myself a small salad from the extensive salad bar and had grilled chicken and Spanish rice for my main course. Dessert included soft-serve ice cream, cakes, and pastries, but feeling a little awkward with my belly exposed, I decided to hold off for now, but not. I was able to resist a glass of white wine. Everyone at the resort was extremely polite. All the staff spoke English, because I'm sure most of the guests spoke English. Despite Jenny's statement that everyone would pester me, we were left alone throughout the entire dinner. We ate, drank, and enjoyed the view of the sunset over the beach. By the time we finished dinner, it was almost dark. "Hey," Jenny said, "it's been a long day. Do you want to find a jacuzzi and relax before bed?" "Sounds great," I replied, feeling the air around us begin to cool and imagining how the hot water would feel on my skin. We ordered tropical cocktails from the bar and went for a walk along the pools. The crowd had already begun to disperse, but the first hot tub we encountered was still occupied by several couples and men who looked lonely. The second jacuzzi we found was smaller, and there were only two men sitting there, about our age, maybe a little older. There was enough space for the two of us. "Hey guys," Jenny greeted. "Do you mind if we join?" The men looked up, and one of them said, "Wow," out loud as we took off our covers to step into the hot tub in our swimsuits. The other, a tanned man with light green eyes, replied, "Please join." "Yes," his friend supported, regaining his composure. "This is a free country." "Wait, is Mexico even a free country?" Then we introduced ourselves. The tan guy's name was Mark, and his friend, a white-skinned, strongly built man with short blonde hair and a thick beard, turned out to be John. We got into the jacuzzi, and I think Jenny deliberately sat between two men so that I would have to choose who to sit next to. John looked a little awkward, so I chose a seat closer to Mark. "How long have you been at the resort?" Mark asked. "We just arrived today," Jenny replied. "We haven't even been to the ocean yet." Although I hadn't said anything yet, Mark's green eyes were fixed on me. I couldn't help but notice that he was attractive, but his persistence was a little intimidating. I thought that he was probably a mestizo, a mixture of white and black roots. His body was slender but fit. Although he was sitting, I could see from his long arms and torso that he was tall. His dark hair was cropped short, and he had a tribal tattoo on his left arm that was somewhere between cool and a little cheesy. We started with a little conversation where we are from, what we do, and stuff like that. Both men, like us, turned out to be Americans, but I won't bore you with the rest of the details. Gaining my courage as I sipped my drink, I began to talk more and more as the conversation progressed. As I spoke, Mark continued to catch my eye. This subtle gesture made my stomach clench slightly with excitement. It's been so long, were we just talking, or had we already started flirting? At one point, Mark asked, "So why did your guys let you go to Mexico alone?" "Oh," Jenny laughed, "we don't have boyfriends." Technically, it was true, and I felt a pang of guilt for not protesting. "It's hard to believe," Mark replied. "You are both so cute." His voice became lower. "You came here to have fun, right?" Plucking up courage, I said, "Of course. It's all about fun and new experiences, isn't it?" "Of course," Mark repeated my words and looked at me again, moving slightly closer. How did he get so close? Was he slowly approaching me all this time, or was I unconsciously moving towards him? Jenny intervened. Samantha is especially looking forward to new experiences on this trip. She is a free woman. Great, thanks, Jenny. You mean you recently became single? Mark asked with a grin, without taking his piercing green eyes from me. Part of me wanted to avoid, but the other part wanted to interact. Something like that, I replied, trying to sound calm. Then it's time to have some fun. Before I knew it, Mark was right next to me and slowly brought his lips to mine. At the last moment, I moved my face away, not being ready for a kiss on the lips. This was happening my first step toward exploring my sexuality with a man who was not my husband. Instantly, my thoughts turned to you, James, thinking about how you were feeling, whether you would be happy, upset, angry, or all three. I remembered how you kissed me when we started dating. The mixed feelings of guilt and excitement were strange, but not unpleasant. Mark seemed to know what he was doing. I noticed in my peripheral vision that Jenny was busy with John, who was clumsily trying to kiss her through his beard. I knew Jenny could handle John, and that was one thing I didn't have to worry about. I closed my eyes, sighed quietly, and tried to relax so that I could fully immerse myself in this moment. Everything happened somehow by itself. That was fun, John said from the other side of the jacuzzi. And unexpectedly. Samantha, that was amazing, Mark said, trying to catch my gaze again with his green eyes. But the spell broke, and I turned away. We have more drinks in our room, he suggested. Why don't you come up to us? Jenny must have seen the panic in my eyes because she chimed in. We just arrived, and we're tired after a long day. I think it's time for bed, right, Sam? Yes, it's definitely time for bed, I agreed. But yeah, it was fun, guys. Well, thank you. This seemed to make him happy, and he was beaming with happiness. Seriously, you have to come upstairs to us, Mark insisted. We won't keep you late. Or you can stay with us if you get tired. Yes, John added. We can sleep on the floor. It's not difficult for us. Mark gave John an annoyed look. We said no, guys, no thanks, Jenny replied in a firmer tone as she stood up. You said no, what about Samantha? Mark asked, trying to catch my eye again. I agree with Jenny, I said. Maybe I'll see you later, okay? I immediately regretted my words, remembering my promise not to form attachments. I mean, well, bye. I rose to my feet. Then let us at least walk you to your room, John suggested, getting up. Just to the number, Mark added, his face becoming serious again. We know the way, thank you, let's go, Jenny said. And suddenly, at the last moment, she grabbed Mark and John's swimming trunks, which were still floating on the surface of the water. As she exited the hot tub, she threw them over a row of lounge chairs and into nearby bushes. Hey, John exclaimed, standing up again. We suddenly heard a group of tourists coming towards us from the other direction, returning from the evening show, and John hurriedly returned to the water. Jenny and I mixed with the crowd and ran away. You saved us, I remarked. I quickly found my bearings. Thank you. I didn't like their atmosphere and thought it was better to play it safe. The right decision. It was quite exciting, but more than enough for the first evening. I didn't expect something like this to happen. If I were you, I would expect even more, Jenny said as we turned away from the crowd towards our building. Single guys come here to find sex, and free alcohol gives them confidence. Logical, I replied. Did you like it yourself? Yes, it was fun, although my boyfriend was not very impressionable, and I'm trying to stop my habit of hooking up with white guys. I laughed. You're a really good friend, Jenny. Thank you, she replied. Yes, I am like that. We returned to the room, and soon Jenny was fast asleep. The time was not too late, and while my thoughts and emotions were still fresh, I decided to write to you right away. I miss you, James. Today was a mixture of excitement, fun, and a little bit of fear. Having fun with someone else was nice, I admit, but I would never risk hurting you if I wasn't 100% sure you were okay with it. To be clear, tonight was not about Mark. He didn't stand out in any way, and I'll be glad to never see him again. After what Jenny did to their swim trunks, I think he'll want to avoid us too. He was just a random man who happened to be nearby, but you are my man, you are always there. We agreed that this diary will be one-sided, and you will not respond to my letters if you are still comfortable with what I do. I just hope it was as exciting for you as you imagined it would be, and the thought of me turning you on right now makes me love and miss you even more. But please, if any part of you feels uncomfortable with this, tell me. I'll give up our plan instantly. I'll close all the doors and throw away the key. But on the other hand, if you don't ask me to stop, I think I'll continue. Today was fun. It gave me a feeling of power. It was something that I want to explore further, that I think I want to experience more, but only if everything is okay between us. If you write to me and ask me to stop, I will understand and will not be offended. I'll stop if you ask, but part of me hopes you won't. With love, Samantha. To be continued. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you don't miss the next part of this story. She will be there very soon. The link to the sequel will be in the description of this video below. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one.